You should buy the M3 Max MacBook Pro 16. It should come as no surprise that the biggest, baddest, most powerful MacBook ever made is pretty darn good and actually worth buying. Hey, somebody should make a YouTube video about that. Now I do want to make a couple of notes up front. Number one, this is my personal M3 Max MacBook Pro 16. Nobody loaned this to me, nobody is letting me borrow it. And I am not planning on waiting until the absolute last second to return this. I paid for it out of my own pocket, and these opinions, yes, opinions, I know that's kind of hard for the internet, they are my own. Number two, the U in this video isn't a general, it's not the royal U, right? I understand that this is a very, very expensive tool, and this video is not a general recommendation for everybody. The U in the title is a person that specifically needs this kind of travel power, and honestly, that's not everybody. And that's okay. But for those of you that are the you that I'm talking about in the this is definitely for you. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into why you should buy this incredible computer. And the very first reason is a lot of little reasons in one, but I don't feel like totally rehashing previous videos just to make this one longer. It's a late model MacBook Pro 16. That means whatever is going on under the hood from the get-go, this is one of the best portable computing machines ever made. Period. Like, that could be the video right there. You'll get a gigantic display that's almost like carrying an actual desktop computer in your backpack or satchel. Yes, I carry around a satchel. And yes, more about the display later. You get a very big, very comfortable laptop body that works both from an airline tray table, admittedly precariously, but also works in a lecture or a conference setting. It works everywhere. The ports in that body are awesome and powerful. I mean, I'm telling you, the MacBook Pro body, either in 14 or 16, is just so far above other productivity laptops. I find it hard to even bring other kinds of laptops here in the channel because I feel like I need to put 7 asterisks in front of them because I would really rather just recommend something like this. Digging into that display a little bit, which is the next reason to buy, for the most part, it is the same as we've seen on the rest of the M series MacBook Pros. You get the super high dynamic range abilities, contrast ratio higher than I could count, brilliant colors, and a faster refresh rate than other productivity laptops. Now you may have noticed that I hesitated to say laptops in this price range, because for the price of the M3 Max model, you can buy a pretty legitimate powerful gaming laptop, so you could get a good display somewhere else too at this money. The big selling point for me on this specific model, it sounds pretty mundane, but it has some pretty big ramifications. The screen brightness has been increased by 100 nits from 500 to 600 nits of max brightness in the standard dynamic range mode this year. And I can hear folks on the other end of this video saying, Gary, that's not that big of a deal, it's just 100 nits. But the single most important thing a laptop needs to do is be useful wherever you are. And if you can't see the screen, I mean, if it's only useful in your office or your dorm room, well, then you might as well get like a Mac Mini or something else. I've had this screen outside a lot over the past week or so, with a few pretty agonizing sessions working from my truck. I have the Ford Maverick. I got a little bit of space in there. I do miss having the F-150 that had that desk built in where you had an apartment that you were driving around in. In both of those scenarios, even with direct sunlight, I've easily been able to see this screen. And as I get older, vision isn't always guaranteed anymore. So if the laptop can help that part out, that gets a big green recommendation check mark from me. The next reason to buy this is a conversation about versatility. And I debated on adding this again because I talk about this frequently, but I do think this needs to be said as often as possible. This is my only computer. I don't have an M2 Ultra Mac Studio that just sits here in the office and then another laptop that I carry around with me. These are the laptops or the computers you see in the background are pretty much, they haven't moved in years, right? I do everything off of this. It's my gaming machine. Holy crap, WoW Classic Seasons of Discovery has discovered its way to totally taking over my life. I edit video, I take work calls, schedule meetings, everything. I don't mean to belabor that point, but I'm currently sitting in a hotel room on a business trip and I'm editing the video you're watching from my M3 Max MacBook Pro 16. This thing is, you're watching a whole video of me talking about how much I like it, but like, I'm editing it while I'm using it on the road. It's so good. I also probably do most of my texting through my laptop compared to my phone, but that's a general thing that I can't specifically lay at the feet of this computer, but still pretty good. I say all of that, and I kept this in here in the recommendations because having desktop computer feeling power at the house and on the road is something I haven't gotten too many other places. And that I get that both plugged in or in the air. You may wonder why I'm talking about airplanes so much. I'm actually leaving. As soon as I'm done recording this, I gotta go on an airplane. That's something I think needs to be mentioned and considered when you, yes you as in everybody this time, are looking for a new computer. I'm not saying Windows computers are bad, but they do struggle in this specific situation. On top of the versatility, the M3 Max battery life is also incredible. I've gotten several days of use when I'm just doing regular clerical work. Yes, if I'm gaming, the battery will only last 2 to 3 hours, but that's pretty good too. It gives you the option to scale the accessories or gear you want to carry around. Are you just taking notes or doing light video editing? You could do a whole overnight to 2-day business trip and not need any charging accoutrement. You could also find that it's raid night when you are away from the house and you need to bring along a charging brick. Not a lot of computers give you that sort of flexibility. Speaking of that gaming power, another reason to buy is the upgrade to the processor. Going from M1 to M2 wasn't that earth-shaking, and if you remember, I did not make a you should buy video for the M2 Pro laptops. I do think there is enough of a jump from the M1 to the M3 that I really notice a difference. That's not to say the M1 is bad. It's not. I could still probably do all of this with my old one and not have a single issue. But the M3 doesn't flinch at anything I do. And I don't even have the top of the line 40-core GPU variant. I hesitate to say this, but the lower range of the M3 Max has absolutely eaten up every task that I've thrown at it, and I'm barely now, even now with my lazy habit of having games up, programs up, Windows, like I leave so much up now, and I barely even scratch the surface of the CPU GPU load. You can see from the bar charts it does much better than the M1 model, and I haven't been one to be overly impressed with benchmark performances about laptops since the M1, but yes, I really like the M3 horsepower. I've even had pretty good success with other newer video games than my 15-year-old very out of control addiction, and even then, the computer just does it. I'm trying to say this because I know Apple is not necessarily the gaming kings, right? They keep pushing gaming, but not a lot of developers have moved there. But it's just really nice. Plus, in gaming, this leads to another thing that I've definitely mentioned, but still can't believe when you are gaming or doing heavy tasks, the computer is really quiet. Like dead silent if your main action is typing and only barely noticeable if you are gaming. I want to shout this from the rooftop. My day job work laptop, look at this. This is a Dell Latitude. The second I touch the keyboard, the fans kick on. I can't even type an email without the computer getting hot and making a bunch of noise. That might not be worth the extra expense to you if you've never experienced this, but once you do, it's real hard to go back. At the end of the day, yes, this is a shorter video. Again, I did not feel like cramming in a bunch of stuff. I think the M3 Max is a wonderful computer that I was initially skeptical about, but I think it's the best overall laptop that I've ever owned. Easily fits into a backpack, travels with me on a battery charge measured in days, not hours, and lets my life fall to ruin by playing too much World of Warcraft. Thanks, Apple. I absolutely recommend this and think this is the one to get if you are in the market. But what about you? Do you have or have you tried out the M3 Max MacBook Pro 16 or 14? Let us all know in the comments below. And if you like this video but you want to see a little more budget options, click here. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching. And yes, I did just hit my elbow on my desk.